Hey everyone! Today I wanted to do a quick video on how to make a phone for a stuffed animal. I also want to shout out a subscriber named Addie who has a YouTube channel called Cottontail and Friends. I checked out her channel and she has posted a ton of really cute videos. Now let's get started! Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is trace my phone pattern. I'm going for an iPhone for this. And I'll link a printable version down below, but since it's so tiny, you could probably just do this by hand. It's just a rectangle with rounded corners. And the one I'm making is a little bit too small for a Build-A-Bear. So if you want it bigger, you could always just print it out at a larger scale. The first thing I'm doing is tracing this on some paperboard. I like to just use like a recycled box if it's white on the inside. That way I can have the option of making a white phone, or I could always just color it black for a black phone. Now I'm going to cut it out. And this is going to be the only layer I'm going to use. It's going to be a very thin phone, but you could always glue together multiple layers if you want it to be thicker. Next, I'm going to make one side the phone case, and I originally thought to just cover the back in washi tape, but washi tape is kind of see-through, so I had to ditch that idea. And so I decided to go with a hand-drawn style, so I have to cover the back white first. I had to use 2 layers of paper to fully cover this toothpaste label. But after trimming off the excess, I can decide what kind of pattern I'm going to do. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to sketch out the opening for the camera. It's just kind of a rounded square in the upper left corner. And I'm just doing this now to reserve the white space. But if you wanted to just paste a piece of paper on top of this for the phone case, instead of cutting out a really small hole, you could just cut out a square like this and then paste it on top. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm doing an iPhone specifically, but you can always customize yours to look like any kind of phone. I looked online for phone case ideas, and this is one I really liked. It's debatable whether I even came close to this, but at least you know what I was going for. I obviously made the squares a lot bigger so they'd be easier to color in, but I think I made the lines a little bit too wavy because a lot of them didn't end up looking like squares. But now I can just color those in and erase the pencil. And next I'm going to add the big fancy camera lens, so I'm going to do just 3 dots with a Sharpie. And I had to refer to my other phone for this, but then I did a little circle above one of those side dots and a single dot on the bottom. Now that's pretty much it for the phone case, but I also made another phone a few weeks ago, which is this one with green hearts, and I feel like I recognized the pattern, so I thought it would be pretty popular, so all I did for that was take 2 green markers and draw a bunch of hearts within each other, leaving a little space for the white. But I didn't go all the way with this phone because, as you can see, the back is blank, but for this new one, I'm going to fully commit and do the screen. So first I need to cut out the wallpaper for the screen. I just went with this paper that has kind of a cloud background, since I wanted the apps to still really stand out, but you could always do a more fun pattern or even a picture from like a magazine or that you've printed out. I first just traced the outside of the phone, and I'm obviously going to have to trim this a little smaller so it doesn't take up the whole thing. And since I'm going for the newer iPhone that doesn't have a home button, it's like all screen, I'm just cutting it till there's a really tiny border around the entire thing. And once I got that to the right size, I realized I wanted a little more contrast between the wallpaper and the phone. So I decided to make the phone black by just coloring the edges with Sharpie, since that's the only part that's going to stick out. But the camera is always white anyway, so I don't have to worry about that. Now I can just glue on that wallpaper. Next is the kind of tedious part of making the apps to go in this phone. You could of course just cut out random colorful pieces of paper or just draw it on the phone directly, but I wanted to be extra and add the actual apps I have on my phone, but mostly just the ones that are easy to draw. I'm just sketching out a bunch of little squares first, and I'm going in with gel pens to get that fine detail. The first one is of course obvious. I need to have YouTube, and I know it's really tiny and hard to see, but if I zoom in anymore, the quality is not great. But I also did Google, Pinterest, Netflix, which I tried another attempt of and it was not better, and then Messages, Gmail, Spotify, and iTunes. And now I can just cut them out, and I didn't bother trying to get them rounded because it's already so tiny. So I just cut them into little squares and started gluing them on the phone. I was actually able to zoom in here and my fingers look huge, but I'm just doing 3 in a row and kept adding them until I used up all the apps. But when I finished, I thought the bottom looked really empty, and that's because I forgot that there are those apps at the bottom that are always there. So I made a few more random ones to put at the bottom and then added a little outline with pencil to show that those are separated. I also added a little black rectangle coming down from the top, since that's just how the screen is shaped. And that is basically it for this phone. It's very handmade looking and flat, but I think when you first look at it, you can tell it's a phone, so I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I may need to buy a new phone case though. Now that is it for this video. I really hope you all enjoyed it. Please give it a like, comment any video suggestions you have, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I also just released my second class on Creative Fabrica on how to make a hoodie for a stuffed animal, so I'll link that down below if you're interested. I'll see you next time. Bye!